In the last tutorial, we looked at all the options under the Output tab. In this tutorial, we'll have a look at how we can set predefined targets. These are file paths built on predefined rules that specify where the files that we create during the output process get stored. We add a new path in the mconfig program. So I'm firstly going to exit Mistika. And as you can see, I've already created an empty folder, Material Mistika Output. So we'll use that as the basis for our path building. So firstly I'll open mconfig and then go to File Paths and Path Builder. The Path Builder has 4 different base types, depending on whether we're talking about where the JS Mistika files go, or where movie files go, or where image sequences go, or where sound goes. So in this case I'm going to add a new path for movies. So I'll firstly give it a name, and then I'll choose a base folder. And I'll choose that blank folder under Material Mistika Output. So as you can see, we're starting to build a path. And so far I've just put in hardwired instructions, if you like. But I can also put in dynamic instructions. For example, what I'd like to happen is under Material Mistika Output, I'd actually like Mistika to create a folder with a name that matches the project name in Mistika. So to do that, I can just simply insert the project variable, followed by a slash. And then perhaps the next thing that I'd like to do is to have the render name, which is the name that I type in when I'm rendering. And I think I'd also like it to say whether it's the left eye or the right eye if it's a stereo clip. An essential element to add also is the segment index. The reason is that if Mistika renders in the split to segments mode, it'll render multiple movies with the same name but ending with an auto-counting number. The auto-counting number is the segment index. So if you don't put it on there, then of course Mistika will effectively always be overwriting the same name file. So finally I'll end this path with the natural file extension that goes with whatever output file I've selected. So to recap, what I've done here is I've set up a predefined path under Movies, where if I select this as my target folder, then Mistika will look for Material Mistika Output, and then it'll create a folder, if it hasn't done so already, matching the project name within Mistika. And then it'll create a movie file. The name of it will be whatever I type into the render name in the output device. Then if it's a stereo clip, it'll let me know whether it's the left or the right eye. It'll add a segment index if I need it, and finally it'll add the extension. So I'll just say create new path. So that's now gone up here. So if I wanted to change it later, I can simply select any one of these and make alterations and update the path. So let's just close this and reopen Mistika. So now if I go to my Output tab and Movies, we can now see that I have 2 options. I have Default and I have My Path. So let's just open something for Mistika to render. So let's take this little clip here. So if I were to render this on its own, in fact, I'll start with split to segments as one segment because it's only a single movie, and render it. And what we'll see is a new folder has appeared, and it's called the same as my project, which happens to be called a demo project, and in there is my movie file. If I rendered multiple things, so for example, let's render from here to here, which will be 3 clips, and then set our segment mode to split to segments, render again. what we can now see is that under the project I've now got those separate movies, again each one being an MPEG-4 in this case. So that's how we generate user-defined paths, which we can do for any of these items, including the path for the audio files.